Hello folks, Reginald Scott here. How are you all doing? Great to see you again. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video and all that good stuff. Now, today I want to talk to you about the new Ultegra Di2 12-speed and why it's a really bad idea to buy it. And actually, it goes beyond just a bad idea. It's actually the worst idea or the worst group set you could possibly buy, in my opinion, okay? And my opinion is based on facts, reason, evidence, and logic, but it is still just my opinion. So if you choose to disagree with my reasoning, my facts and my logic, then that's absolutely fine. You know, nowadays everyone has their own truth, right? So anyway, why is it the worst? Okay, so I did a previous video, if you remember, on 105 Di2, the new one, the new 12-speed, and I said things along the lines of, you know, it's environmentally unfriendly to have batteries on your bike like that, you know, the electronic gear changing is pointless unless you're disabled, it's heavier, it's more expensive, it's worse for the, like I say, worse for the environment, it's less reliable in the long term, it's harder to fix, it's harder to maintain, it's more expensive to maintain. And I went through this whole laundry list of reasons why basically it's completely stupid to buy an electronic group set for a bicycle, because a bicycle is supposed to be simple, simplistic, easy to maintain, reliable, and you cannot beat mechanical group sets for that. And performance-wise as well, okay, so I can tap a little button and my gears shift, you know, which is great if you're disabled, but if you're not disabled, you're just being lazy, in my opinion. I mean, honestly, the way that most Shimano group sets shift, you don't really need the addition of electronics to make it better or easier. But, you know, okay, so you press a little button and it shifts for you, la-di-da. And also you can be really boring and, you know, really anal. And you can sit in the coffee shop with your friends, you know, after a ride, and you can show them all the data that you have from your group set now, because obviously these group sets are all Bluetooth and they're integrated with apps. So you can say to your friends, oh, look at me. Oh, look how many times I shifted into the 11 tooth during the ride. It appears I was there 15 times. Oh, fascinating data. Yeah, you're just sad and you need to get a life. So that is why I had an issue with electronic group sets, especially the new Di2 12-speed in particular. But focusing fully now on the Ultegra, why is the Ultegra so bad? And I would actually say that buying the Ultegra Di2 12-speed is a worse choice than 105, and it's a worse choice than Dura Ace. Either of the other two options, Dura Ace and 105, would be less dumb to buy. They're still dumb because it's electronic, but they're less dumb than the Ultegra. And I'll explain why. And it's for two kind of different reasons. Okay, so as I said before, more expensive. If you look at the price of the Ultegra Di2 now in Brunei dollars, and it's similar to Australian dollars, you're looking at like nearly $3,500 for a group set. Whereas Ultegra in previous generations, the mechanical Ultegras of the past, like the 6800, the R8000, they cost $1,000. So you're paying $2,500 more for, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Bluetooth connectivity to your phone so you can read a load of data, and electronic shifting. And one more gear. That's the only tangible benefit this system gives you, is one more gear. How useful that additional gear is, it's debatable. I actually think that 10-speed group sets are better than 11-speed group sets, in my opinion, because I think 10 is the magic number, 10 is the decimal system, it makes sense. And what I find when I'm riding my bike that has a nice old 10-speed group set on it, not only is it smooth, not only is the gear changing much better than the 11 speeds that I ride, but what I tend to find is that I get to the gear I want faster. I mean, you get to the gear you want one gear sooner. You know, like if you imagine like this, your power gear on your cassette is your 11 tooth, right? And your climbing gear, or your light gear if you like, is your say 25 or 23, something like that. No, but anyway, 28, sorry. So 11 and 28. Well, that's the same on an 8-speed. It's the same on a 10-speed. It's the same on a 11-speed, 12-speed, whatever, 13-speed. Whatever speed of gear or bike that you have, whatever size of cassette you have, your bottom gear can be the same and your top gear can be the same. You know, you can have 1134 on 11-speed. You can have 1134 on a 12-speed. You can have 1134 on a 10-speed. It doesn't make any difference. All my bikes that I own, I've got 8-speed bikes, 10-speed bikes, 11-speed bikes, and they're all the same pretty much. The go fast gear is 11, and the go slow gear is 28 or 30. So it's all the same. So advantage-wise, what are you actually getting? Well, you're getting one less jump. And where does that jump come? Well, I believe in the 12-speed group set, off the top of my head, and the 11-speed group set, the gear that is missing, I think, is 19 or 20, somewhere around there, either 19 or possibly 21, but one of those gears up there. So it's quite high up the stack. It's above the middle, if you like, of the cassette, because you start 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then I think it's 20 or 21 that's missing, and then you jump up to 21 or 22, whatever. So it's quite high up the stack. It's not really a go fast gear, and it's not really the gear that you'd use in a fast group ride on a fairly flat road. It's not really an essential gear. It's not a gear that is going to create a huge amount of advantage for you. It's not going to be a game changer with regards to winning a bike race, is it? If you have or do not have that one gear. So the only tangible benefit of the electronic group set, having that additional gear, it's not really that big of an advantage. And I would pose this, I would say that if you gave a Pro Tour bike team, for example, like, I don't know, Team Ineos or something, Movistar, you gave them all mechanical group sets, let's say SRAM Red 12-speed, which is $2,800 Brunei, and you let them race on that, and then you switch them all to Dura Ace, you know, or Ultegra actually. So let's say Ultegra because it's similar price. Ultegra, which is a Di2 12-speed, which is around $3,500. I guarantee you they'd do better in the year that they would have the mechanical group set than the year they'd have the electronic Ultegra, simply because the electronic Ultegra is so much heavier than the mechanical SRAM Red, for example. And even though they're similar prices, you'd pay about $3,000, I think it is, for the Di2 12-speed rim brake, and about $3,500 for the disc brake. And as I say, the SRAM Red mechanical rim brake is around $2,800. So they're similar prices, but the SRAM Red mechanical is vastly superior as a racing group set than the Ultegra Di2. You're going to have way more advantage with that group set than you are with this, purely from the fact that it's going to make your bike much, much lighter. We're talking almost a kilogram lighter, you know, to have that different group set on there. So, or maybe even more than that, I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's a big weight difference. When I look at how heavy bikes are now with the disc brakes, with the electronic group sets, and with the aerodynamic frames, they're getting ridiculous. We were talking 9 and 10 kilos for $7,000-8,000 bicycles. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so the only tangible benefit, 12 gears, not really that big a benefit. Apart from that, like I say, it's just heavier, it's more expensive, it's harder to maintain, and all that business. But going back to why the Ultegra is so much worse than the 105 and the Dura Ace is because if you buy the Ultegra at $3,500, you're basically choosing that over much, much better mechanical group sets. I mean, Dura Ace mechanical is only $2,000. You could save $1,500, get the mechanical Dura Ace, the 11-speed, and then spend $1,500 and get yourself carbon wheels. Because a pair of Hypers, for example, costs around $1,680. So you're not far off, that's Brunei dollars, you're not far off getting a complete set of carbon wheels, very good carbon wheels, for the difference in price between those two group sets. Or, like I suggested, you could get SRAM Red Mechanical, which is the lightest group set in the world, which is definitely going to improve your performance both uphill and accelerating and sprinting, because obviously lighter objects are easier to get moving than a heavier object. And so, you know, you're going to gain a huge advantage from that, and you'll still have a few $100s left over for lighter saddle, lighter handlebar, whatever it is you want to put on your bike, aero bar, whatever. Aerodynamically speaking, of course, these Di2 group sets are not more aero, they're less aero, because the front derailleur and the rear derailleur are much bigger and chunkier and definitely going to cause more drag. So that's another disadvantage. Not only is it heavier, but it's also less aero. There you go. But I keep missing the point. The point that I'm trying to make is this. If you buy the electronic Di2 105 12-speed, there is a kind of a point to it, okay? Maybe you've got arthritis, maybe you're missing an arm or a hand, and having electronic gears just helps you enjoy cycling because you are disabled and you're unable to shift the gears, and that is perfectly acceptable. That, in my opinion, is the only reason you'd choose to spend a couple of $1,000s on a group set when you could just buy the mechanical 105 for $700. Okay, there's justification, is what I'm trying to say, for somebody buying the 105. There's no justification for somebody who wants to race in crit or in stages races, for example, or even in Grand Fondos. There's literally no reason for you to go for the electronic over a mechanical group set, because you're disadvantaging yourself in a racing environment using those kind of heavier, less aero group sets, and also less easy to maintain if you are on some kind of long distance bike race or bike ride. But there is some level of justification to getting the 105. It's the cheapest of the three. So if that's your only option and you need, for whatever reason, to have an electronic group set, okay, I can understand you buying the 105. I wouldn't personally do it, but I can see some justification for it. And I can see some justification for buying the Dura Ace. And that justification is, it's the most expensive group set you can possibly buy, okay? Whereas Dura Ace, you know, 11 speed a few years ago, mechanical, was around $2,000. The new one is more like $6,000. It's mind-alteringly insane amounts of money for a group set, in my opinion. It's the price of a good entire bicycle, and I mean a really good bike. You could get a really good bike, especially if you make it yourself, like from parts you buy online or something. You get yourself a really good bike for around $6,000, and that's how much Dura Ace is going to cost you. Brunei dollars, Australian dollars, like $6,000. Are you kidding me? Are you insane? Like, why would you spend that kind of money on a group set? It makes literally no sense whatsoever. But it does make sense, because if you're a bit of a show-off, okay, and you wear the Rafa jersey, and your helmet and sunglasses are the most expensive ones you could possibly buy, and you're the guy with all the latest kit, you know what I mean, and you just buy stuff, you know, to show off at the coffee ride on a Sunday, it makes total sense to buy the Dura Ace Di2 12-speed, okay? Because it is the biggest possible flex that you can possibly make. And so for me, that justifies the existence of the Dura Ace. The 105, the existence is justified because it's the cheapest one if you need that technology, or if you need that 12th gear for whatever reason. If you really think you need it, that's the cheapest one. And the Dura Ace, I totally get that. If you're a complete knobhead show-off, that's the one you're going to buy, right? If you're not poor, you're going to buy that because you want everyone to look at you and go, bloody hell, that guy's group set costs more than my bike. I'm so impressed, I want to have his babies. Because that's what everybody thinks when they see a guy with a 12-speed Dura Ace group set. Now, the Ultegra, those people who either are considering it or are fortunate enough that they've already bought it, sits in the middle. It's not the cheapest option. It's not the most expensive option. It's not the coolest option. When you spend $3,500, in my opinion, on the Ultegra Di2, people are going to look at you and think, what an idiot. Like, not only is he an idiot because he's spending all that money on a heavier, less aero, more complicated, less good in many ways group set, but he wasn't rich enough to be able to afford the Dura Ace, so he kind of looks poor. And he wasn't smart enough to buy the 105 and save himself all that money. He bought the Ultegra, which is basically shooting yourself in the foot. It's not any better than a mechanical Ultegra group set. It's not lighter, it's not more aero, it's not easier to use, it's not easy to fix, it's not particularly sensible from a maintenance perspective. So why the hell did he do that? And that is why I believe Ultegra Di2 12-speed is literally the dumbest group set you can buy. There's no justification for it. There's a guy I know recently.
So at this stage in the video, I was actually planning to tell you a little story, but unfortunately I realized that my details within the story, although I didn't mention any names, was a little bit too accurate, and I'm concerned that either somebody close to or the subject of the story themselves will work out who I'm talking about. So I'll just give you a shortened, more pinpointed version of the story. And the story is this. I know a guy who's incredibly stupid, and this incredibly stupid person bought this group set, and when I asked them what they thought of said group set after they installed it to a brand new bicycle, they were incredibly underwhelmed. That is all the details that I can give you without giving too much away. But basically, what to take away from the story is this. The dumbest people I know buy this group set, and even though they're spending a lot of money, they're not always satisfied. So that is the moral of the story I'm telling here. So there you go. That's why the audio here is not in sync with the person you're looking at. It's kind of funny watching myself silently waving my arms around. Anyway, back to the video.
This is the result of it. So that is why I consider the Ultegra Di2 12-speed to be the dumb man's group set. It's the idiot's group set. It's the group set that fulfills no purpose and has no justification to buy. If you're rich and you do not give a monkeys about how much money you spend and all you care about is having the best, whatever you think the best might be, or you just want to show off, you're the guy with the solid gold Ferrari, then yes, get the Dura Ace 12-speed Di2 and ride it at 20 kilometers an hour on the coffee ride. No problem. If you're missing your arms because they fell off as a result of leprosy, get the 105. It makes sense, okay? Because the electronic shifting should be easier, more power to you. It's wonderful that you're riding, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's fantastic. But if you're going out there and you're spending $3,500 on the heavy piece of junk, which is Shimano Di2 12-speed Ultegra, then I'm sorry, but you made a huge decision, and that is my opinion. There's my logic, there's my reasoning on that one. If you disagree, you know what you can do about it. You can stick it in the comments below and let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching my video. That it hopefully explains to you why the Ultegra group set is the dumb one. And as always, stay safe when you're out riding on the road. Thanks folks, see you in the next one.